This is the magnetic hands experiment, okay? So luckily all you need is hands for this. You actually need 2 people to do this experiment properly, okay? So find someone to do it with, that's the first thing, okay? Then ask them to stand just like this, like I'm standing, with their arms out. Turn a bit sideways for you so you can see better, okay? Stand like this, with a nice right angle bend there, tuck their elbows in, and ask them, just say, okay, what I want you to do, and you can do this too, of course, is say, I just want you to gently swing your elbows in. Remember, don't try not to move this too much. Swing your arms like this, as if you're sort of clapping in slow motion. But just do it very gently, okay? Slapping and clapping in slow motion. And say, when you're doing this, just notice how it feels as you're just swinging your hands backwards and forwards. Very gently, remember? Okay. Ask them just do it a couple of times. Then ask them to stand like that, keep standing like that. And what I want you to do is put your hands on the outside of their hands. So remember, they're going to be standing like this anyway, and essentially you're going to be standing the same way, but your hands are going to be outside of theirs. So if I pretend that's one of their hands, you're going to be pushing your hand on the back of their hand like that. So you're going to stand like that, they're going to stand the same way facing you, but your hands are going to be on the outside. And what I want them then to do, and this is what you've got to tell them to do, is you say to them, right, what I want you to do now is try and open your hands, swing them that way, keep your elbows tucked in at all times, try and swing them that way as hard as you can against my hands, and you're going to stop them doing it, okay? So you tell them you want them to swing their hands open like that, but you're going to have your hands stopping them, and tell them to push as hard as they possibly can, and try and do it for about 30 seconds. As soon as time's up, or when they get too tired, quickly stop and say to them, right, now just do what you did right at the start. Just very gently do the same thing you did at the start. And ask them to tell you what they're noticing, okay? And of course you may do it the other way around. You may stand and get them to hold your hands in while you push out, and then you do that instead. Okay, off you go. Now, just in case I didn't make it 100% clear what I wanted you to do, this is what happened when we found an unsuspecting member of the public called Mike. Watch this. So here we are with the magnetic hands experiment, and Mike has very kindly agreed to do this one with us because you do need 2 people for this one. So Mike, what I want you to do is hold your hands out like that, pointing towards me. Now the first thing I want you to do is just bring your hands together slowly and gently. Just swing them in from the elbows, swing them in, just to notice how it feels. Just swing them, try and keep your elbows still and swing them in from your elbows like that. That's it. And just notice how it feels doing that, okay? Right, now what I'm going to do, ask you to stop that position. I'm going to put my hands behind yours, bring your hands out to there, tuck your elbows in, keep them tucked in. And when I tell you to, start pushing as hard as you can outwards against my hands, okay? So when you're ready, start pushing now, okay? And you've got to push nice and hard. Keep your elbows tucked in for me. Keep your elbows in. That's it, keep pushing, keep pushing. Keep your elbows tucked into your body like mine. That's it, keep pushing, keep pushing. You've got to push like this for about 30 seconds, really. The longer the better. So keep pushing, keep your elbows tucked in at all times, remember, like mine are, and like Mike's are. Keep pushing, and when I'm going to let go in a few seconds, I want you to do exactly the same thing as you did before. Just bring your hands together gently and tell me if it feels any different. Ready? Stop now, and just do again, do that. Gently swing it and tell me if it feels anything different.
Yeah, pulling away.
It feels like they're pulling open, pulling open. Totally strange. What's going on there then? So, did you notice when Mike did it, he reported afterwards that it felt to him like it was pulling out on its own. His hands were just pulling out. Now there's 2 other things some people notice. Some people notice what Mike noticed. It feels like your hands have been pulled out on their own, which is totally weird. Some people say it feels like something's pushing their hands out. They're just pushing out, like maybe some sort of magnet here, a magnetic force pushing their hands apart. Some even say it feels like there's actually something there pushing their hands apart, right there, pushing their hands apart. I've had that experience myself, so I know it's totally weird. It feels like there's something invisible between your hands, expanding, pushing them open. And some people say it just feels like they're opening on their own. They don't really describe it as being pushed or pulled. They just say, oh, look, they just seem to be opening on their own. Now, again, of course, I don't know what you found out, but it's likely to be in one of those. But what's going on? So, how's this all working? Well, when we're trying to do that, push outwards, around this part of your arm in particular, remember you're trying to keep that part of your arm still, around here you've got muscles which are contracting, getting shorter to try and bend your arms outwards. Right, both sides, around here and around here, they're contracting. Now for your brain and nervous system to do that, they send signals to those muscles through nerves, they send signals, and the little chemicals get released into the muscles to make the muscles contract and make your arm move. And of course when you're pushing really, really hard like that for about 30 seconds, lots of signals are going to those muscles to make them contract, and more of that chemical builds up in the muscles. And when you suddenly stop, there's still some of that chemical in the muscles making a move. Remember, you're doing this, so there's still a bit of that chemical left. So just for a few seconds, as that chemical is being used up, if you like, as the effects are still there on those muscles, your muscles on that side are still contracting and still pulling your arm outwards. Even though you're not meaning to do it, you're not intending to do it, but your muscles are still moving a bit, trying to move your hands outwards. Now, of course, you're not used to having your hands moving on their own without your control, so your brain thinks, oh, this is a bit weird, this is moving without me making it move. So you get this illusion build up, and one of three things. Remember I said, you'll either have the illusion that something's pulling your hands open, you'll have the illusion that something's in the middle pushing, or you might just have the illusion that they're just moving on their own. Because remember, all this is happening and you're not actually controlling it directly. So that's how come. What other things could we try? Well, the obvious one is change the amount of time that we do this for. Do you think if you do it for longer, I don't know how long you did it for, we did it for quite a long time with Mike, didn't we? So I wonder how long you do it for, if you can make it much, much longer, if you can, because don't forget that people are going to be getting tired, and you'll probably get a bit tired as you hold them. But do it for as long as you possibly can. Do you think you'd notice it even more strong, the force, or whatever you notice? Would it be a stronger effect, or would it make no difference? What about if you only did it, say, for 10 seconds, or for a short period of time? That's another one to think about, isn't it? Another thing is, remember I said start off with that distance between them. How about you ask the person to start off at that position? So just have your hand, or flat together, that's okay as well. And then you put your hands on the outside of their hands still, and say, right, do it from that position. Will that make a difference? So they've got their hands together this time. And you do it, they're trying to push out and you're holding them. Of course, the opposite way around is maybe start wide open, so they're pushing out from about here instead. And does it work there? I wonder if you can think of any other ways of doing this.